What's the difference between a one-hit wonder and a classic? Between a product or piece of work that sells for centuries versus something that is big for less than a year? Which would you rather create? So what's the difference? The difference is that one is a perennial seller. What's up, Internet? My name is TridentLion, and welcome to this book animation summary. The book I'm going to be featuring is The Perennial Seller, The Art of Making and Marketing Work That Lasts by Ryan Holiday. On this summary, we're going to be covering all 4 sections of the book to help you level up your knowledge and understanding as to what makes a perennial seller and how you can create a perennial seller for yourself. Real quick before we get into it, please hit the like button to support the hours and hours and hours of work that's put into making these videos for you, as well as all these other videos on this channel. On this channel, there is various book animations as well as personal development hack videos, all geared to help you level up in life. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Now, finally, what you clicked on this video for in the first place. On to the book summary. Part 1, the creative process. From the mindset to the making to the magic. Probably the most important part of creating a perennial seller is the creative process. It is in your work that is what matters. The author Ryan Holiday's mentor, Robert Greene, which all of his books you could consider a perennial seller, puts it like this. It starts by wanting to create a classic. If you were simply just going into a project to make money or to get more popularity, then it's not going to stand the test of time. To create something is truly daring and beautiful, as well as exhilarating, because you are giving something of value to the world. Realize that your ideas are not enough. You have to put in the work. Ideas are cheap. We all have great ideas, but it's in the work that matters. If you want to make something great, you have to do the creating. The work can't be outsourced to someone else. They won't have their full heart and soul in the project. You need to have a strong desire to produce meaningful work. Recognize that it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you want to create a perennial seller, you have to think long term. Take your time to polish and create what your life's work is into the greatest possible work that it can be. You'll be doing your audience a disservice if you're not putting your all into it. Realize that it's going to take time, it's not going to come easy, it's going to come with a lot of adversity and a lot of setbacks and obstacles. Look at it like this. If it was easy to create something that was amazing, that would stand the test of time, then everybody would do it. Ask yourself this question. Is what I'm creating going to still be around in a decade from now? If you can't see your book, product, business, or service being relevant a decade from now, then you should probably rethink what your next venture should be. So take your time, lay down your project brick by brick, take it piece by piece. Do not rush through it. Give yourself some space and privacy. Realize that during the creative process, when you're wrestling with all these conflicting ideas, silence is necessary. Being in a quiet space allows you the ability to process all of your thoughts and readjust your project as needed. The creative process is a solitary experience, yet make sure that it's not completely done in isolation. Seek feedback on your projects and ideas. If you don't know what you're supposed to be creating, think of what you really are curious about, what you're really interested in, what you really find fascinating. Find your niche and then scratch it. If you're scratching your own itch, which happens to be your niche that you're curious about, well, at least you have an audience of one. Ask yourself the question, who is this for? Most creators make this mistake and they want to create something that's for everybody. The problem is that's extremely vague. And the result is that it ends up being for nobody. Now, establishing your audience is crucial during the creative process. You can't afford to wait until after the project's finished to figure it out who you're making it for. So if you have an idea for a book, create a blog, which is like a mini version of your book, and see how people respond to it. As a creator, you should try to answer some of these questions. What does this teach? What does this solve? How am I entertaining? What am I giving? What are we offering? And what are we sharing? During the creative process, do not water down your ideas for a mainstream audience. While you're creating your perennial seller, remember that it takes time and effort, as well as sacrifice, to make something that lasts, that will stand the test of time. Part 2, positioning. From polishing to perfecting to packaging. Increase the odds of your project's success by positioning it appropriately. You need to do this. If it is your work, you are the CEO of your work. All the responsibility will fall on you, the creator. Here is a few exercises that you can utilize to help position your project in the best possible way. The author calls this next exercise 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, 1 page. You should be able to write out your project within 1 sentence and also within 1 paragraph and with 1 page. It's extremely important to have a lot of simple, short explanations of your product because you're not just going to have to explain this to your loved ones. You're going to have to explain your product to possible buyers, publishers, your fans, investors, reporters, publicists. So you want to have a really clear idea as to who your product is for, who your product is not for, why it is special to them, why anyone should care about it, and what it will do for your audience. Part 3, marketing. From courting to coverage, pushing to promotion. As much as everybody would like to just create something and have it just happen, the reality is that it's probably not going to happen that way. The next step is your next job, which is the marketing. Marketing is both an art and a science. It's something that has to be mastered by all creators. Now, without the marketing, how is anyone going to hear about your product? How is it going to become a perennial seller if no one has heard of it? Now, marketing is your job, and it comes at the expense of applying the same amount of creative energy that you put into making it, you have to put back into marketing. Marketing is a great opportunity for you to distinguish yourself as well as beat out the other talent that's around you. The ideal goal for the marketing is in establishing a core word of mouth. If your product doesn't have a strong word of mouth, it will cease to exist as being a part of the general public's concern. Probably the best strategy for marketing is to try everything and see what works for your project. Because what works for one project is not going to work for another project. And when you find something that does work, stick with it. Now on to the last part, part 4, which is the platform. From fans to friends and a full-fledged career. So we start out with the creative process, then we go into positioning, then we go into the third part, the marketing, which leads us to our last and final part of the perennial seller, which is the platform. This is where you're actually building your audience and you're actually building your distribution network. The author urges us to build an email list as well. A platform is something that you cultivate and grow, not just through your creative work, but it's also for your creative work, so that your creative work has a way to be distributed out into the world. Recognize that marketing is so much easier when you have fans and friends that you can count on and that are at your disposal. Creating a perennial seller and a word of mouth is possible when you have a high level of supporters, people that are willing to not just buy your work, but bring others to your work as well. A platform is important for not just your first project, but for all your projects to come. Too many creators think that success will just happen. You certainly increase the odds of success when you are building a platform and an audience that you're consistently providing value to, and you're establishing the most important relationship. And the most important relationship that you can get with your creative career is with your fans. Think of someone that you've been a fan of for years. How have they managed to keep your attention? Is it because they made something great once and you're just continuing to support them because of that one thing? Or is it because they're giving you something of value that has stand the test of time and it will continue to provide you value whenever you go back to their product? Without a platform, you'll be at the mercy of other people's permission. To a creative person, that is literally death. You're an entrepreneur. You're a creator. Don't just make your creative work. Make your creative work happen. Thank you guys so much for checking out this book animation summary on The Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And as always, until the next video, remember, always be learning, always be creating, and always be inspired.